Excuse me.
Oh,
Oh, I see what you're saying, because anybody can hit record at this point.
Yes.
I mean, we'll just make sure that somebody hits record when it's time to record. Oh, it's recording right now. Oh, shoot. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Yo.
Yeah.
I'm in the
You
clouds and
didn't say
Devontae's
anything,
in
bro.
space and
Brad did not
Jeff's
say
in Earth
anything.
on Earth.
facts. I didn't even think about that. That is kind of deep. We're in different atmospheres.
All right, nerds. Let's get to it.
That's the guy wearing glasses
I know.
that he doesn't need.
Don't lie for clout. I need these. I can't see.
They're a fashion statement.
They're definitely prescription.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to our first official episode. Actually, so I guess first things. Well, let's introduce ourselves. I'm so used to like just talking.
Let's go darkest to lightest. Introductions. Want to do it that way? Why you put your head down? Bro, hit him with the. He said, He put his head down.
Yeah, I'm gonna start saying that at restaurants.
Yo, bro, put his head down like.
It just caught me off guard, but by all means.
What's poppin', everybody? It's Darkest, host of the show, Jeff Devontae. I'm probably the most outspoken, goofiest of the group. I'll say that much.
Oh, and it's Zach, Scott G.
Darkest to lightest. Zach, you were supposed to be.
I know. Yeah, I've got no sleep, so I'm like, listening to your sentences
Zach said
and
he's
it's being
darker than
scrambled.
you, bro. Zach said he's darker.
No, but the funny part is it's only 3 people. So the fact that the first guy went and there's only another person to rank yourself after.
He said, I'm just gonna slide in right here.
Slide, no YG.
Yo.
Oh man. Well, you've already introduced yourself. I'm Devontae. And this is official episode 1 of what are we gonna call the podcast, guys?
Church in the morning. No J.
Church
Cole.
in the morning.
I got church in the morning. Church
Hey,
in
man,
the morning.
Hey, you heard it here first. That's the official title. I got church in the morning. And no, that is not our
church in the morning.
So if anyone was curious on what Jeff was singing, don't look it up. It's not a thing. Rap Genius will not be informing you of what that is about.
DJ the Chicago Kid.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
No, so today we wanted to share our testimonies. We figured that
shout out the truth.
Yeah, shout out to the truth. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna get back to that in a second. In starting this podcast about talking about church, talking about our upbringing, what we've learned, what we failed in, what we're appreciative of, all of that. We figured the official first episode should talk about our humble beginnings and where we come from and all of those influences that have to do with God and faith. So, so in beginning of that, when it comes to testimonies, before we actually share our personal ones, what's your guys' view on testimonies and like, what do you remember about hearing testimonies and like your first, like the ones that stick out to you of like, I'll never forget when that one guy shared his story or that lady, like tell me some of that.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, like I knew what a testimony was, but like I ain't really heard a bunch of people's testimonies like that. Like oddly enough. So I was like, shout out to Truth. The Truth is a rapper who is part of the CHH. CHH is Christian hip hop. And he has this song called, I believe it's called My Story. And so the story is literally just his testimony, and the hook, I love, bro. It's like, I love the hook. I ain't got no horror story. God kept me in my youth. I give him all the glory. Thought my story wasn't dope, but now I know the blood of the Lamb that saved my soul. That's my testimony. So it's like, when I heard his testimony on how he grew up, it was very similar to mine. And so, like, I think that testimony really stands out to me a lot, just because, like, that's the only one I can really recall. But it's also the one that, like, resonates the most with me. But yeah, I've never really heard a bunch of people's testimonies, so I don't know what people's.
That's crazy,
bro. People were killers out here for real, and I might not even know it. You know what I'm saying? On the street selling crack. You know what I'm saying? Shooting cocaine. Or robbing shorties. You know what I'm saying? Like
robbing shorties,
bro.
Right? Yeah, right. Robbing.
Like, bro, they could have been out here on some trifling stuff. I don't even know. So I'm pretty sure there's some like ex-pimps and like gangbangers in my
Why
church.
are you
No,
people out?
I'm not saying no names. I'm just saying I'm pretty sure there is.
No, you shouldn't say their names.
No, I'm
for
not
your
going
safety.
To. But no, bro, because you could just tell, like, you see them people at church and you just see like the way they walk or the way they talk, the way they. I'm like, all right, you're a Christian because I've seen you pray in church and I've seen you praise God, but bro, you came from the streets. You came from the streets, didn't you? Yeah, you was a pimp named Slickback in your last life, wasn't you? I know you was.
Hey, don't do Slickback like that. He loves God now.
Yeah.
Zach.
Love you, God. Like that guy, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah, like that.
Hey, I think he's about his God, though.
He is, probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're very encouraging to hear. Definitely, like, y'all ever hear some intense ones that, like, dang, this dude been through Iraq and back, or I don't know if that should have said Iraq, but, like, like, just been through some crazy stuff, like, you've been hit by a car, been shot, like, okay, like, I can see why God is real to you, And
yeah, I feel that.
And I remember the first time I went to a youth group and they're like, you want to share your testimony? And like me trying to like take a step of faith and like, like I did it. And that was nerve wracking, but it was cool to hear encouragement as far as after when I told it,
How old were you?
Because I was in high school. I was like 16, 17.
Oh, okay. So you were like just about to become a troublemaker.
Yes.
or like leveling up in your troublemaker.
Legit.
Hey, why is it got to be that? He said, "Oh, so you were gonna get in some real trouble, huh?"
16.
So the timeline. This is where you're good.
No, because listen, I was a square until I was 23. I'm 26 now. Listen. 16 don't mean nothing.
There might be different levels of troublemaker.
You know what I was doing when I was 16? When I was 16, I was singing in the honors choir in high school and not getting invited to parties. That's what I was doing at 16.
He was
That's
about
what
that.
I was doing.
We're gonna get into that time. I'm definitely curious to hear more.
This man said it. Oh, you were getting into trouble.
I am super familiar with testimonies. My church is heavily practiced people sharing their stories. And the reason why is because in our church service, when it comes to, and some churches do this different. Some people have completely different belief systems about taking communion. Some people do it once a month, some once a year on a specific day. Our church does it weekly, and still does. And so some people, not every week, but every now and then, someone would share their testimony as a way to get people's hearts ready to take the bread and the juice. And so, yeah, man, definitely heard some intense stories.
They were shooting cocaine, wasn't they?
No, legit, like the
I told you.
The person
was crazy.
Funny enough, and I won't say this person's name, but the person who helped me know about God and like personal Bible study was that guy. Like he was the person who like did cocaine. So when he came to Jesus, he was like, "Oh, I'm never going back. Like I'm never going back."
And bro, and it's crazy because I feel like those the ones that really stick with it, bro, because they know what this world
They're
has
like,
to offer, and they've been there. Like
they did it all.
Testimonies are powerful. Like they, because it's so personal and like, and the things that you share. Like I've shared my testimony, but I've never done it in detail. Well, I've done it, I think, once in detail. And even then I was like, oh, I could have shared this point or whatever. Cause there's so much. So, not that my life was like action packed, but just like you think about details, like you think about like, oh, that was actually kind of important. Like, why didn't I think about that? And so that's what we're going to do today. In a more summarized way, because to truly share your testimony, like you need time. And so we're not going to go into super duper detail, but I did want everyone to share. Should we stick to the dark to light? Should we switch it up? Who would like to do the honors? I don't mind going first, but let's
stick with dark to light. You know what I'm saying?
All right, then.
You gotta be consistent with it.
So that means me second, right? Just kidding.
Yes, sir.
You first, buddy. You first. What you mean?
You got the black jacket on. What do you mean? You dark right now.
Nah. That's me.
He said, nah.
No. Shut up. Tell my testimony. It's the best one.
It's funny because Devontae just finished saying like, oh, you shared your testimony quite a few times, and it's like I'm thinking about it now, and I've never really like this. Gonna be the first time I really like share my testimony.
Hey,
I've never
I.G.C. exclusive.
But you know what I'm saying? Like I said, name is Jeff Devontae. Born in Japan, raised in San Diego. I come from a military background, right? So, but even though my parents didn't necessarily grow up like in the church and was like, you know what I'm saying, like holy people when they met each other, and but when I came into the world, by that time my parents were already saved. So, or no. Sorry. So I came into the world, and I think I would say it was like maybe 2 or 3 years after I was born, my mom got saved. And then after my mom got saved, she convinced my dad to get saved. So, I mean, as far as I can remember, and like when I started, developing as a child and going through adolescence, like all I know is pretty much the church, because, we've been going to church since I was little, like a dang or a baby. So,
quick question. First question.
Yeah.
Were your parents heavily involved, or they just were like avid, like we are going to church 2 or 3 times a week, like we're just there?
So I mean, it was one of those things where like we was definitely in church, every Sunday, every Wednesday night we had Bible study at church. So like we would be there at the Bible studies whenever we can make it. Of course, like I said, my parents were in the military for 22 years, so there were times when, like they either weren't here, because they were out the deployment, or they were at work doing something, so we couldn't make the Wednesday nights. But we were pretty much there like every Sunday. But we weren't as a family, we weren't really involved like that. I want to say my dad at one point started doing like the audio visual, and like I ended up picking up with it too. And so I was on the AV team at one point in time, which was, I'm not going to front, it's kind of tight.
Side note, every like black
yeah, I already know.
Jeff knows that. Hey, to everyone who's not black watching this, every black person that goes to church at some point in their life joins the audio and visual team.
And it's usually the black male. Like, it's usually a black man.
Like, there will be white dudes if your church is diverse.
And the white dudes are usually the ushers, bro. And it's crazy because there's this white dude at our church. He was like the head usher. Because at one point, like there's always a head usher appointed. And I think when that person decides to step down, like our pastor, like they'll go to our pastor and say like, hey, this is, who I would want to take my place. But when before they moved, because him and his wife ended up moving, but our head usher was this young white cat, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not going to front because I thought it was tight, because he's cool. Like he's he's cool. I'm not, I'm not gonna name drop nobody, but he cool. And so like, whenever we'd see him, it'd just be like, oh, what's good? Like, there was no issue with him being an usher of all these black people. But you're right. Our AV team, a lot of black men in our church.
And they bring their son.
Yep. So.
Okay, come on. All right. Hey, everyone. Sorry for
Westwood TV.
With all the dancing.
Sorry for the little jump. We had some difficulties earlier, but we're back and we're starting with Jeff on his testimony. Jeff, please take it away.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, when it comes to religion, or not religion, but like, Christianity, I kind of grew up with it. My parents were in the military, you know what I'm saying? And by the time I was old enough to start going to church and like understanding kind of everything that was going on within the church, my parents were already saved. So as far as I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, as far as I can remember, as far back as I can remember, I grew up in the church. God is, you know what I'm saying? God is what I know, my Lord and Savior. And so,
love you, God.
Love you, God.
Jesus Christ.
You need to meet that guy one day.
Yeah, and so for real,
his testimony.
That's a powerful energy, bro. Jesus Christ.
It's like DJ Khaled on crack, but he got saved.
Bruh.
Yo, we didn't cut that out. We didn't see that. Anyway, a little bit of dribble. But no, anyways, so yeah, grew up in the church and was part of, you know what I'm saying, the AV team at one point in time, me and my dad. And my mom was part of the AV team at one point, audiovisual team at one point within the church. And so we were, you know what I'm saying, we were involved. Like every Sunday morning we was there. Every Wednesday night or most Wednesday nights when we could make it, because like I said, my parents were in the military. So, on the days we can make it, all that good stuff. And like I was saying, Devontae, I'm sure I told Devontae this, and so he knows. And what was that? So I didn't tell you directly, but when I was a junior in high school, oh shoot, I forgot about the first time I got saved. That's part of the testimony, because that's kind of important. So first time I got saved, I remember exactly where I was on the sidewalk in front of this park next to this apartment complex that I grew up, or that like I partially grew up in. And I think I asked my mom the question randomly, like, do you remember when you got saved and what was it like? And she was telling me like, yeah, I was this old and this is what happened. And, that's when I found out about the church, because I've been growing to this, bro. I've only been to one church, grew up in the same church my entire life. You know what I'm saying? So like,
wow,
the people that are you know what I'm saying? There are people that we were babies, we were kids, and there were, we used to look up to the teenagers, and those teenagers are now grown folks with their own kids and families. And like, now I'm a young adult, 26 years old, like, grew up in that church. So we all know each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody knows each other. So, she was telling me like, that's how I found the church that we go to now. And so at one point she asked me, do you want to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? So I was like, you know what I'm saying? I already go to church. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this is going to come at some point. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So got saved there, ended up getting baptized maybe like a good 2 years after that. I was probably like, I got baptized. I remember because I got baptized with the girl that I grew up with. I got baptized with her because we also went to the same sixth grade camp. We went to two different schools, but we ended up at the same sixth grade camp, Camp Cleomacley, shouts out. And so, yeah, so I was probably like sixth grade when I got baptized. And so, junior year of high school, fast forward, you know what I'm saying, been going to church, been involved in, doing all this stuff. Junior year of high school, my mom comes out to me as lesbian. And I found out my parents are getting a divorce. And so that was a big, you know what I'm saying? That was a big moment where things kind of went in a different direction.
These sound effects.
Went a different direction. And it didn't really hit like all at once. It was really just like a slow roll because oddly enough, my parents, they go through this divorce. And my mom ends up moving out. My parents, even to this day, are very cordial. You know what I'm saying? Like they call and check up on each other and stuff. So it was never like I hate you. I never want to speak to you again. You know what I'm saying? Like they had differences. My mom identified the way that she identified, you know what I'm saying, this newfound self that she was going through. And so eventually she stopped going to the church. And by that time, I want to say my dad stopped going to the church before she did. So at one point in time, both of my parents stopped going to church. And I, oddly enough, kept going. Like, I think right after my parents divorced and them splitting up and stopped going to the church, I think that's when my faith and my relationship with God really skyrocketed because like there was nobody holding my hand to do it anymore. There was nobody getting like, hey, come on, get up, we going to church. It's Sunday morning. Like there was no more any of that. It was me doing it for myself. And so I would still get myself up, driving my car, going to church, every Sunday morning. Wednesday nights when I could, I was going on Wednesday nights, you know what I'm saying? Like, consistently, my bad. Like, I don't know what that was. Bro, I don't know what that was, but all that was going on. So, I think, so at one point in time, excuse me, and this may be like a year and a half after where I was still going to church by myself, driving myself and everything, and I got into a car accident, and my car was jacked. Wasn't able to drive it anymore. So I was using my mom's car to go to church. And so she started to go back a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and kind of was still going from time to, you know what I'm saying, like when she was trying to be consistent with it and really trying to like keep that relationship with God that she had, even though she was living this lifestyle. And I think for me, seeing her trying to kind of mesh the two, really, I think that's when I really took a dive and stopped going to church. Because for me, it was like, this is the woman that, you know what I'm saying, my entire life was telling me right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what the Bible says. We got to follow God's word. So in my mind, I'm like, bro, homosexuality is like a sin. And even though we love people, we hate the sin. And it's like, you're doing this sin, but you're still trying to tell me like, we should still listen to Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's when it really messed me up. And I really started analyzing. And I didn't necessarily, I kind of questioned the validity of God a little bit. I'm not going front. Because I'm like, because it also kind of got me thinking like, bro, this is also the woman that got me saved. Is me being saved even like, is it even like count? You know what I'm saying? Like, so all these questions and thoughts and everything started rushing into my head. So it kind of, I'm not going front. It messed me up big time. So I started.
Now, question.
Yeah.
Now during this time.
Yeah.
Is what affecting you? Bad English. Is that impacting how you are socially, like at school and actually around church friends? Like, are you completely like, I'm just sad everywhere I go? Or are you kind of like, oh, I'm just not gonna like, I'm good?
Yeah,
like,
so outside of my testimony, just like who I am as a person, I'm very in tune with my feelings. So by this time, I wasn't necessarily sad because, I was definitely sad and upset because of what was going on, but that didn't necessarily come off to other people. So And then there were other things aside from just that too, like me trying to fit in, you know what I'm saying? Like me trying to, like
kid stuff.
It was just kid stuff. So like it wasn't just, you know what I'm saying, what was going on with my parents' divorce, or even like me understanding and realizing like the correlation between my mom's lifestyle and how I was raised. But what it did do, it did put me in a position where I started to try and explore and experiment in different things. So like I said, bro, I've been a square pretty much my entire life. You know what I'm saying? I've always been straight edge. I don't smoke, I don't drink. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't do things, certain things. Like pretty much my entire life had this situation where you have the mindset, no sex till marriage, like we date to marry, like all these, you know what I'm saying, straight and narrow church kid stuff. But when I really started to, I think, analyze the validity of like me being saved and like what my mom was saying and all this and all these other things, that's when I started to, like I said, kind of explore and experiment. And so it's funny to me because people that know me, like it's like even me just being like, oh, I took a shot. Like it's like, oh, like, like you took a shot.
Right. Like, it's like you're rated R, is they're rated PG.
Yeah, exactly. Because just like I said, my entire life just been super straight and narrow and everything.
Yeah.
So it's just funny to know like where I came from and how I kind of like started, and just also understand like who I am now. Like being who I am now, not where I necessarily want to be or where I was back in the past, but it's crazy because so take for instance now, I drink. I didn't drink until I turned 21, and even then, like first off, it wasn't even like
get drunk.
I get drunk. Yeah, like truth be told, I got drunk for the first time in my own house last year, in 2020, and that was because it was coronavirus. We were sitting in the house doing nothing, like bored
in the house because I'm in the house.
The house bored, exactly. Like, and so I just, you know what I'm saying, I ended up drinking wine, and wine, I love wine. Wine is great.
Can I get
El Varner, bro. El Varner. Listen, shorty.
Slept on.
I had the biggest crush on you, but also I love your work. Please continue to make music. I know you dabble here and there, but I need one more album. I need one more album with everything that you got. Pull a Jasmine Sullivan. Come back. Come back. But anyway, but no, so that was the first time I got drunk. It was in my own house, you know what I'm saying, at 25 years old. And so like who I am now is like I drink. I'm not gonna lie, I smoke weed. I don't smoke cigarettes, but it's like I smoke weed. I do not I'm not like sexually active like that, but like I have had sex before marriage, you know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy to know like where I was versus like where I am. But I feel like my understanding of like Jesus Christ, and why I guess I feel comfortable like living that lifestyle, but still also trying to seek out like reestablishing my faith in Jesus Christ and everything like that, is because I feel like my actions don't define my character. And I know where my character stands because of like how I grew up and how I was raised. And so I feel like, I mean, they drank alcohol in the Bible. They weren't drinking it to get drunk. You know what I'm saying? They weren't turning up and blacking out, drinking to get blacked out drunk and stuff, but they were drinking in the Bible. I haven't seen in the Bible where it says that weed is, you know what I'm saying, marijuana is because I'm not gonna lie, and this isn't a PSA. I feel like it's not a drug, it's an herb, you know what I'm saying? It grows from the ground. I would like to believe
weed is from the earth.
I would like I would like to believe that maybe not Jesus himself, but I would like to believe that they were, a little bit here and there back in that time medicinally. So so it's and that's not to say that I'm obviously, I'm saying I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes. I'm not without sin. But I feel like those actions don't define my character, and they're not going to define, nor do they define my faith and where my faith stands, and how strong my faith I practice. That side lacks just because of me not putting in the time and the effort that I should be putting in. You know what I'm saying? But I don't feel as if it lacks because of everything that's happened, or the things that I dabble in at this point. So that's my testimony, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? We got the exclusive first time. So a question I want to ask, and I want everyone to answer when they share. Looking back, one thing that you're like, I'm happy that this happened. One thing that you're like, wish this would have went differently. In regards, and specifically in regards, well, I mean, if you want to make it about like your family or parenting, I'm speaking more towards like church related, God related.
Got you. One thing that I'm really happy that happened was not necessarily my parents getting the divorce, but my parents stopped going to church really helped me find my own like understanding of faith, really had me practice my own faith, really had me step up in my own. So I'm kind of glad that they stopped going, because if they didn't, I feel like I still would have been tagging along like a lot of people do. And I'm not saying that it's terrible or that it's bad, but you know what I'm saying? I just didn't want to be that person that tagged along because my parents did it. When I stopped going for my own reasons, not because my parents stopped going. And I feel like a lot of people stop going because their parents stopped going. So I'm glad that happened, because now I know how to create a stronger faith in my own works. One thing that I'm really not happy with, I'm not gonna front. This is gonna sound weird probably to some people, but like losing my virginity, I really wish that didn't happen when it happened or how it happened. I feel like that moment really broke me. Like, bro, I remember when I lost my virginity, I went crying to one of the other youth members, or one of the other young adult members that I consider like a brother, almost like a mentor. I went and cried to him and was like, bro, I lost my virginity. Like, I feel terrible. I feel dirty. Like, I didn't really want this to happen, blah, blah, blah. Like, so it hit me hard. And then it unfortunately caused a trickling effect of like me falling into this phase where I was like actually like seeking out sex. You know what I'm saying? I was like really like into the flesh at that moment, because like part of it was like, well, it did feel good, so I wouldn't experience that again. But another part of it was kind of like, I didn't enjoy this experience, so like now I need to like refresh, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like I got a do over. I need to do it over. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it did kind of push me into this phase that I kind of went through, and I'm not too proud of that. So that's something that I feel like I could have done without. But you know what I'm saying? Like everything happened, and I learned from everything, and all the mistakes and all the triumphs. So it's like I know what I know because it did happen. So
word. And God's not done. God's not done with us. So
you got it, buddy. He's not finished yet. Amen. Man.
So Zach, as the darker one, are you?
Hey, I should have did what I should.
I mean, I know Jeff said it as a joke, but do you want to go second, like, or do you rather go third?
It's no matter to me. Up to you.
Okay, I'll go. Okay.
I'm like, why you nervous? This man got nervous for a
No,
second.
because it's like, all right, so
Like, where do I start?
Yeah, beginning. Well, I'm gonna start the same way Jeff started. So my parents, so for one, I have an older sibling, and I have to state that because my parents were already together. We're together since high school. They got married when they graduated. They had my brother. They had my brother, I think, pretty much when they graduated, or when my mom graduated, at least, because she's younger. So
you said your mom is younger?
My mom is younger by 2 years.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I know a lot of Black families where the mom is older, because my mom is older than my dad.
Oh. Yeah. My dad was a senior. She was a sophomore. They started dating. So they had my brother. They weren't going to church yet. They got reached out to 2 years after they had my brother. And the way it happened is kind of cool. Basically, my mom was working at Burger King at the time. And
okay. Back when the fries were good.
She was working in the hood too.
And this is all in San Diego?
This is in San Diego, yeah.
Okay. What part of San Diego?
He's gonna say Skyline.
Lemon Grove.
Okay.
What part of Lemon Grove?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think Skyline?
That's not Lemon Grove. That's not.
Well, my bad. I'm thinking
this man don't know his city. He said Lemon Grove.
No, because
Skyline is in Southeast.
I know. I'm confusing. I always confuse the two when it comes to their story.
Not from the hood. You're a phony.
No,
a
phony. I thought you were bad. You ain't bad.
Hey, said, where I'm from the hood. What part? La Jolla.
Yeah.
What part of La Jolla? I don't know. Mir Mesa?
That's funny. Hey, did either of you want to be from the hood when you were younger?
Oh, nah, bro.
Definitely listening to 50 Cent, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the music for sure. And even to this day, bro, I love listening to music that doesn't fit the profile that I fit. I'm like, bro, I'm a square that grew up in the church, and I was still listening. You know what I'm saying? I listen to some questionable stuff to some people, but I love listening to like Larry June, 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? I listen to Lil Durk. You know what I'm saying? Bro, and I'll be rolling things. I'm saying, gangster. It just made me feel like a thug. You know what I'm saying? It made me feel like I'm from the hood. Right here, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be cruising.
All right. Anyways, so my mom got reached out to through a drive-through, and
whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's kind of what? Hey, they testified in the drive-through.
Yeah, yes,
she was having a rough day at work, and then
the lady came. Yeah, the lady pulled up at the window, and they had a conversation. And the lady gave my mom a card, like with the address and like her phone number on it, the address of the church, and then like her personal phone number on it.
Bro, I'm like, I don't know why this is tight to me. Because I just imagine like your mom hands the food and she's like, here's your food, ma'am. And the lady takes the food, she's like, thank you. And here's Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, gives her the card. And your mom is just like,
mom was like,
I think I might call this number. Like, bro.
Like, this ain't a credit card.
Right. Oh. Yeah. This ain't the debit. No,
I got a paycheck and found the Lord in the same day. That's hard.
Y'all are
the drive-through. That's the first for me.
The drive-through, yeah.
Never would have thought.
Yeah, pretty bold.
Hey, that is the disciple.
For real.
Hey,
to this day, this woman is still like, they still keep in touch. This woman is still like
going to drive-thrus.
I'm spreading the word of God in the drive-thru.
Like, flicking the card in.
Yo, I'm sorry. My bad.
No, you get. So anyways, some odd months later, they actually meet. They have a few dinners. And my parents start studying out the Bible, have personal like devotionals, and they get baptized. And so by the time I come around 3 years later, me and my brother are 5 years apart, they're already Christians. They've already like had a home church. So I'm coming into a family of believers. So
now, question for you: when your parents, I know you said that they like got saved 2 years after your brother was born. Were they like, you know what I'm saying? Like, were they just like regulars? Like what kind
like
of people were they? No. Like, what kind of people were they before they got saved? Were they like, you know what I'm saying? Were they killers? Were they thugs?
They were,
or were they just like normal people? Like, they just, you know what I'm saying?
So the way I always like to put it is, and sometimes they reference it too. So they're a big fan of like old hood movies. So like Boys to Men.
I was about to say, that is not a listen. Skyline is in Lemon Grove. Boys to Men is a movie. Like,
and a hood one.
Right. I'm like, Boys to Men is not a hood.
So Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society. They relate with those movies very deeply because a lot of the stuff happening throughout those movies they like experienced for real. And so my dad, through what he's always described himself and the stories like my mom's told, he sounds like Ricky from Boys in the Hood. So he was the athlete.
Gotcha. He was a jock. He was getting ready to go to college.
And he was cool with everyone in the hood, but he wasn't affiliated at all.
And he got shot in the back.
So yeah, thankfully my dad didn't get shot. But he has been, they were at parties and, you know, like, cause that was a regular thing. Like everybody just,
I was about to say, yeah,
back in like just dance. And it was like 90s, actual that's what dancing. They did. So similar to the movies, like Kid and Play movies, like the
I was bro, and it's so dope how like that was their clubbing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
that was the thing.
Like like every weekend it was like, bro, they were having a party at so and so. Oh, this is about to be a big party. You know what I'm saying? Like that's bring that back after Corona is eradicated.
Please.
Right. Let's fix the world first.
Right. So that's like, that was what my parents were like. And so they, you know, without putting their business out there, you know, it's not, you can't really have a strong marriage without God. I've come to believe that. I feel like I've seen it, like even growing up, going to friends' houses and seeing their families, not judging them, but just seeing the family dynamic. And not every family's like crazy abusive, like crazy stuff's going on if they don't go to church. Not at all. There's a lot of like great families that are doing well. It just happens when they go through hard times, what is their foundation? They're their only foundation. Versus marriages that have God, they can call on other married couples, they read their Bible, they pray through hard times. So they have a few more sources that they truly depend on. And so my parents were practicing that as I was growing up. And so anyways, similar to Jeff, the church I'm at currently is the church I've been at my whole life. So I've grown up with everyone that I still know to this day. Most of them I have like, I can keep in contact with, but only a few of them I'm like, actually like, we talk on a regular basis. So, so church was great, man. Like, I feel like growing up, church is probably my favorite. It holds the majority of my favorite memories of childhood. Also just a quick detail. I went to, or our church is a non-denomination Christian church. So
same here. Yeah. So our church is also non-denominational.
Super diverse, very family oriented. we weren't, one of the things, and this is a side thing, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, in another episode, we weren't really community oriented. It was very like our church, like this is the family and we stay in our family. So some churches are different, for their own reasons. But anyways, so
question.
People, oh, go ahead.
So how you were saying your church is non-denominational, and I you know what I'm saying, like mine is the same way. Our church is non-denominational, but not at the same time. My church is still a black church. Is that how? You know what I'm saying?
No. Mine is super diverse. Like it literally has Filipinos, Latins, whites.
No,
blacks.
And I guess I say that not to say, because our church is, again, same thing, non-denominational, very diverse. Like you said, we have Filipino families, we have, black families. I mean, of course, the majority is black because our pastor is black. But I think that's why I say it's a black church, because our pastor is black. So, like, even though it's non-denominational and it's very diverse, it's still, like, at the heart of it, you still, like, these are black people. You know what I'm saying? It's a black church.
Culture,
like,
for sure.
Right? Yeah. That's what it is. The culture. Culture, for sure.
So I didn't get that experience. And that had an effect on me, not deeply, but it made me, it shapes you up to be a different type of person when you're not around a lot of other people who look like you.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, church was great. Honestly, a lot of great memories. The youth camps were great.
That's why
the small groups, the like Wednesday night Bible talk kind of thing. There was like youth Bible talks. There was single people like that are in their 20s who are just focused on their career or in school. Like they had their own ministries and all that stuff. So it was very organized and again, family oriented, all that stuff. So I would say growing up, also similar to Jeff, I was definitely like a square, like goody two shoes. I always like to say, like, I watched a lot of Fresh Prince, but I definitely identified with Carlton.
Yeah, bro, and that's crazy. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I watched a lot of Fresh Prince, and like you said, I identified with Carlton, but I spoke like Carlton.
No, but you try to imitate Will.
Yeah,
Will.
Yeah, I wanted to be like Will, but not what, you know what I'm saying, but not like too aggressive or too hood. But yeah, like exactly. I just wanted to be cool and suave and, you know what I'm saying, like Will. But yeah, I definitely identified with Carlton. I was a square, bro.
Same.
Bro, I'm like with the name, and I mean, Jeffrey McKinney, like what?
Hey, it's funny. One of the first things I told Jeff when I first met him, I was like, yo, you have one of the dopest names I've ever heard. Because it sounds like a skater to me. Like McKinney has that like a name on a skateboard like vibe. I don't know.
You know what majority of skaters are? White. Yeah.
But you got some blacks in there, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, that's a side note. All right. So growing up in church, I'll say, so the type of kid I was, I would say I was a lot more outgoing, super sociable, talk to everyone, very emotional. But on the negative side of that, very prideful, very like egotistic without being super overt about it, but you could see it. It was there. But at the same time, super loving, always willing to serve. Like my mom was involved in everything. She's that person. So whatever she did brought me along. So I would say things started to really boil as far as like my faith or God or church when I hit high school. Because I was pretty much the same kid, did okay in school, talked a lot, liked to be a class clown, liked attention. That was everywhere, in church, out of church. I was pretty much the same kid.
Yeah.
High school was when I started to dive into mischief and a bit more rebellion. And even still, like we said earlier, like my rated R was most people's PG. So
yeah,
like me getting detention was like, oh my gosh, I got detention. When
yeah.
they're
No,
like,
and that's crazy because I've never gotten detention. Bro.
word.
And it's crazy. I've never and for me is I think what really kept me on the straight and narrow for so long was because when my dad was like I said, my parents were in the military for 22 years. Like they each served 22 years. But while my dad was in the military, he was a cop in the military. He was an MA, a master at arms. So like he would bust people, you know what I'm saying, that was smoking weed, DUIs, all that. So I'm like, bro, my dad is a cop, like in the military at that. So it's like, bro, I couldn't get away with nothing. I wasn't hiding nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's why for me, for so long, I was like, nope, I'm not doing nothing wild. Like, so getting detention,
right?
Boy, I wouldn't even dare. Like,
I know, yeah, and a lot of moments like that happen throughout childhood. Like, if I did something that was actually like, Devontae, you're getting in trouble, I got scared because my parents were really big on respect and like kind of fear. Like they definitely used fear as a tactic, specifically for me because I was like the talk tough, but I'm a scaredy cat. So it was really easy to put me in check. Like it didn't take much. So anyways, high school, started getting into mischief. Junior year specifically was when I chose to turn up because by that time I was, and again, turn up.
He said, yeah, look, if that was crazy, he said chose.
Like I know.
Turn up. I was like, he did not turn up.
It didn't really turn up like that. Nothing crazy. Like
PG-13
again, similar to Jeff. I didn't smoke. I did drink my junior year. So that was part of the turn up. Like I went to my first few parties.
Whoa, wait a minute.
That was like the first
drinking.
That was
high school.
Fam, there was illegal drinking in high school. Anyways,
when I was in high school and I found out people were having sex, I was like, y'all nasty. I was like, y'all are having sex. Like, bro, I was shook.
And I was two-faced about it. I definitely was I was one of those people who were like trying to invite friends to church, but still like, I want to get in. I want to get in on the trouble. Yeah, like you still want to get in on the trouble. So like, and I was man over here. I didn't do it with
the red cup in the hand, talking about, "Yeah, man, you should come to our youth group on Sunday, man. We're having a great time, man."
That should be the second title name of the podcast. You should come to our youth group with a red cup in hand.
No.
red solos and Jesus.
And he looked at the time. I was like, "Oh, I gotta get home. I got church in the morning."
So yeah, man, like it was. And that would wrestle with me. Like, even though I was rebelling, getting in trouble more, not obeying my parents, which is all big deal stuff for a church kid.
For sure.
So
you ain't honoring thy father and thy mother.
Right. Like that was a big deal. And I would feel the burn.
Your days on the earth are cut.
I would act like it didn't affect me, but like I felt like, oh man, I'm doing dumb stuff. And so because then at the same time, I still wanted to be a quote unquote good kid and still like invite and be like, you know, go to youth camp over the summer, come back in the fall for school, tell people about Jesus just to like lose my fire and like get influenced again. That was a regular thing. Now I started doing what we call Bible studies, which is where you get deep and personal about God, about the Bible, about faith, about changing your life completely. So I did that sophomore year during the summer, stopped when school started. Junior year during the summer, stopped when school started. Senior year, I did it in winter. And all 3 times did it with different people. So I'm appreciative of those guys to this day of like really pouring their heart out and taking all of my prideful arguments and responses.
Was it all men?
Yeah, all men.
Okay.
And so that's a thing for our church. Like you study with men, women with women. So very, very honestly, like yeah.
Makes sense.
That's another thing. We'll get into that. But fast forwarding, senior year ended up going all the way through, like surrendered to God completely, got baptized on Easter of that year, which was 2013. Pretty dope.
Hey, okay.
And came back to school like, yo, I'm done. Like, I'm changed. Y'all, like, now I'm for real. By this time, though, most people, you know, now, mind you, this is springtime. We're about to graduate. Everyone's turning up for real, for real.
Yeah, I'm about to say, now this is the time when people really going up.
Yeah, so no one's listening to me, but I'm still going hard. And
here you go. I got saved. Yeah, whatever, bro.
Yeah. They're like, oh, great, we're happy for you. Like, I'm gonna go drink now.
Right.
Like, hey, Devontae, you want to go ditch school? Oh no, I forgot you like love Jesus for real.
Well, I forgot you're a church boy.
So and that was my reputation. Like, I was known for being churchy, and also being like, sadly enough, I was known for flip-flopping. I was known for 1 minute, like, you're inviting me to church, but like you're dancing with homegirl. So that same, like, I'll say lukewarmness haunted me throughout high school and going into college years. And so overall, like, even in college years, I was still, you know, we had our Bible talk on campus, and, you know, during the time I met Jeff and Zach. And so even during those times, I was still felt pretty strong. But I think after a couple years and starting to really explore, because once you hit college, you're really adulting. And so so is everyone else. And so they're also exploring and like experimenting. And so that's just kind of a messy thing to be around if you get close to people, because then they're like, hey, like, I had this background, but now I'm willing to do some craziness. Are you willing? Like, and so I kind of got involved a little bit. Jeff was kind of there to see some of it. We were around, we had the same friend group in college. And so,
hey, listen.
and we'll go into that in another episode. I'm sure that'll come out.
And it's funny because, yeah, like, I'm low key hyping it up, but again, like you said, it's because of who you were. Like, because I saw you, you know what I'm saying? I saw the church, Devontae. I saw, you know what I'm saying? That's what connected us. So when I did see you kind of going through, and none of it was wild. You know what I'm saying? None of it was like, exactly. Oh my God, like was, this. Yeah, it wasn't crazy like that. But because this Devontae, you're like, you're getting big time. You know what I'm saying? Big time.
And so, yeah, man, like, overall, even so speeding up to now, definitely struggling. Like, I could honestly and just humbly say, like, I'm definitely not where I want to be. I think I'm making the steps to get there. I feel like having this little platform is part of that step. And so, yeah, I think I've matured a lot in my understanding of church and God and faith. And I think he's honored a lot of that, even in a lot of the failures and the distancing. Like me distancing myself. I think God never distanced himself from us, but I think we
never does.
We go away from him. And wonder why. And
because he's always there. That's the thing too. Like,
yeah,
he's always there waiting for you to come back, waiting for you to, you know what I'm saying? He's never gonna abandon us. It just, if we let it go too long to the point where we leave this earth, that's when it's like, all right, bro, I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? You strayed a little too far from the flock.
Yeah. And so, and then I'll answer my own question. So, looking back, I think the thing I am not proud of, wish I could change, is, you know, this is gonna sound weird. This is gonna sound crazy. I wish I wasn't so lukewarm, and all of the things that I was dabbling with, I wish I would have just did.
Oh, like fully.
That's fair. Yeah.
Fully the deep end.
And it's weird because it's almost like the opposite of Jeff's. Like, I was kissing girls, but when they started to touch my pants, I stopped them. I look back and I'm like, you know what? I kind of wish I just, because here's the thing. Because if I would have
had the experience.
And I think people, like, I realize there's a confidence and daringness that I lack. And I think it's because of so long of time of like playing with fire. And I'm like, yo, if I would have just got burned, I probably would have been a lot more of a just firm and like direct and like executive decision making for myself person. I'm getting there now, but it's delayed. It's way delayed. And
so if I'm hearing you correctly, you wish that you had just done the things that you were on the fence about in the past, because then you feel like you, whether it was making a positive decision or whether we're saying yes or no now, you feel like you would have been able to firmly like, yes, I do want to do this, or no, I don't want to do this, whatever it is. Like,
like I don't
minute versus big. Okay, that's fair. And I see that.
And I even say that like still with some hesitation, because you know, I don't want to act like, oh yeah, and then I would have went to God and I would have been fine and I would have been super strong. That could have took me down a dark path if I did say like 100% yes to those moments in high school, which is such a vulnerable, like molding time. And so, you know, so that is my answer. But like, you know, maybe not everything, but there's definitely some things I'm like, maybe I should have just like snuck out of the house and just left. Because me standing in front of my house and then going back inside was stupid. So if I would have just went, did what I did, got in trouble, I don't know. Like, I don't know. So there's stuff like that. One thing I'm proud about that I'm happy happened, I think is I'm happy about all of my heartbreaks.
Like with...
So kind of similarly, like heartbreaks are very definitive moments that are permanent. So similar to me, like wishing I would have done the things I did, the things that happened to me that were like hard for me, I'm glad they happened. I'm glad that this girl that I like kind of fell in love with, like ended up liking someone else and telling me, and me like being,
oh man,
yeah. So she didn't cheat on me, but like she definitely like led me on, only to be like, yeah, I'm actually super into this person that is your friend. And I'm like, okay, I was willing to like marry you, but all right.
When did this happen?
You know this person, Jeff. Yeah. So anyways,
Yo.
I thought I told you this. We'll talk about this later, Jeff.
We have to.
I thought I told you this.
No.
But either way, and anyone watching this episode, because the people you're gonna watch this episode, don't ask me about it. I'm not gonna tell you who it is. But also another moment that I'm happy happened, even though it hurt, was it actually was the pivotal moment to me getting baptized. It was a betrayal of two very close friends at the time in high school. They did something. They did something like really just
Judas.
Cool. And I forgave them like afterward. Like once I became a disciple, like I forgave them. But at the moment, I was like, wow, like I'm alone. And I cried. I cried walking home from their house. And but it was at that moment I surrendered. And I was like, God, I don't want the world. I want you. And so anyways, yeah, that was a long, sorry, mine was a little long, but
but I'm still...
I know you're tripping off that detail.
Because I didn't, you know what I'm saying? There's some stuff I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? I didn't, so
yeah.
I'm like, hey, because I mean, that was between y'all, so I'm sorry. I'm getting off topic.
No, you're good. We'll chat about it, but all right, Zach, last but not least.
Wow. How am I supposed to top these? I'm kidding.
Don't top it. No,
y'all got my mind going all over.
Speak your truth.
Yeah, so basically, born in San Diego, raised, both my mom and dad. They're not believers. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. They're not churchgoers. Like, they believe in God, but I would only go to church like a few times a year for like, you know,
Christmas,
events and stuff.
Easter.
Yeah, not even that. Just like when I guess maybe when I have family here in New Mexico, which is where I live right now, and I have very religious aunt and uncle. My aunt and uncle. I remember like that was the only time I went to church, kind of just that time, and yeah, that's it. But what do you call it? Where do I even start? Like, I guess growing up, I was a latchkey kid. I'm an only child.
Hey.
Yep. Jeff
Feel
knows
you,
what
buddy.
I'm talking about.
Feel you, buddy. Only child, latchkey kid life. Gang, gang.
But
wake up, parents gone. Come home, parents gone.
Bro, my mom was super like super protective
by myself.
And that made me super spoiled. Actually, I was super spoiled as a kid.
Yeah, because you were the only child.
Yeah. So, and my parents were divorced. They were fighting a lot when I was like 5 years old, but they officially divorced since or they stopped living together around the 2nd grade or 3rd grade, but they officially divorced in 7th grade. It had some effect, but
Now, question for you, Zach.
Yeah.
When your parents divorced, not to get too off topic, but like when your parents divorced, like, did that like hit you hard like at the time when it happened, or did it affect you more so down the line? Like,
it kind of felt like I remember as a 5-year-old watching them fight a lot. So I think I was devastated at first when it happened, but I think I knew it was better for the both of them because they're not living together, so they stopped fighting, so they were more happy than fighting living together. And I remember as a child like telling them, stop fighting.
Dang.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think about that too much, but that happened. And they still have my mom and dad, like, even though they don't talk, they always ask like, are they doing fine, checking on each other's well-being.
Right.
But yeah, like I think it hit me hard at first, but then later, I don't know, like then I would go with my dad on the weekends. I would live with my mom because my dad, his job, he's like away for like 6 months, and he comes back and he spoils the crap out of me going to Disneyland, Universal Studios. And kind of like my viewpoint of church or like being religious, it just looks so boring to me because like I just imagine just somebody on the Bible all day memorizing it and just like following all these strict rules, and I'm like, yo, that's boring as heck. I don't want to do that. And it wasn't until I met my Aunt Maria, Uncle Lonnie, they were like the nicest people in the world, and I still talk to them today. I actually still have Bible studies with my Uncle Lonnie.
Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah, and basically one day they took me camping when I was like 12, and they asked me if I wanted to accept God in my life. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. That's a big decision. Next morning I did it.
Okay. I said, I don't know about that. No, I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Yeah,
legit, legit. Like I was like, I don't know why. I was just like, I don't know if I want to do that. It just sounds like a big thing. It was like, oh, it's okay. Just think about it. And I did it the next morning, and I felt like a big piece, like over my body. But then the thing is, after I did that, nothing else happened. I was just still living my life, doing stupid crap. So I don't know. Maybe I just didn't have the proper. They're supposed to plug me to a church or something. But I live in California, and I accepted God here in New Mexico. And when I went back to California, I was like, oh, back to my old life in elementary. In middle school, and my influence was basically Jackass, the show and the movie. So literally, like in school, like no, legit, like I was a prankster.
I'm sorry, but that is a terrible. That is a terrible, like, for a 12-year-old kid, be like, yeah, this is my influence. Like,
bro, like the thing was, I thought I was a good kid overall, but I was still a prankster. And I still had some, like, what do you call it, morality, if you believe it or not. Like, I wouldn't go too overboard, I thought. What do you call it? And music was a big thing. For me, music was definitely, like, the most important, like, one of the most important things. So I think God kind of used that, kind of jumping ahead. But, yeah, I struggled with depression, lust, and I had my best friend who would go to church, and he would try to, like, what do you call it, plant the seed. And I was kind of rebellious against it until one day, like, he invited me to a youth camp. Went to that, heard the gospel. It changed my life. And, you know, I became kind of like what Jeff and you, Devontae, were saying, like kind of, what do you call it? Straight and narrow. After that, like I was straight and narrow for a while. And, man, what else? Like, and then I found out about Lecrae, and that really helped. like hearing all those guys, like I think God like used that. Like, you know what I mean? Like hearing my thoughts on a song, and I like learned more. And then one day, I kind of moved high schools. I went from Chula High to Hilltop, and I was still like a prankster and all that, but I was kind of pulling back, and I would stop walking home with certain friends. I kind of like distanced myself away from, because I was like done with that life, you know? Or I was trying to be straight and narrow and not be stupid like the shows I was watching. But and basically then I went to the new high school, and one day, like on my way to church, there's like a green church. I don't know if you know, Devontae, St. Mark's Lutheran, right there down the street from Hilltop. Yeah, one day I went in there, and then I saw somebody from high school there, and like, oh, come to the youth group. Went to the youth group, got plugged up, and that youth group was like probably one of the highlights of my high school. You know what I mean? Like having a youth pastor that like was legit.
Hey, shout out to youth pastors.
We would go on more youth.
Yep, that'll be a whole episode legit. That we have on.
Yo, for real.
Youth group.
Man.
Yeah, that'll definitely be an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure my youth pastor would be too happy where I am right now.
Send him this video. No.
Yo, he gonna hear some of the stuff and be like, brother.
I teach you nothing.
Right.
Bro.
Now, do you remember when I told you what the Bible said?
Yeah.
In Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Yo.
But I kind of had that what do you call it? That I was known for that too, as far as being very like, I'd bring my Bible and like hand out little youth Christian packets, invite heck of people to youth group. And yeah, I introduced a lot of people to the youth group, and I hope, you know, it did something for them.
Okay. So like you were pretty involved with like the youth group, and like you.
Yeah, like, definitely in high school.
Okay.
Definitely in high school. Then I got to college. I was cool for a little bit. Then I got a job. And then like.
Became a working man.
It was at John's Incredible Pizza. You're just surrounded by like women and like other people your age.
I'm not gonna front. Was it the JIP over in the Plaza Veneta Mall?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, I heard some stories about that place.
Hey, tell me some stories. I want to know. Even though I work there.
You're not gonna get into that necessarily right now because you work there. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who still does it. You know. But nah, bro. Yeah, I've heard some pretty incredible stories about John's Incredible Pizza. Oh man.
But yeah, then I started going to. I started drinking.
Incredible Pizza, so.
I had a lot of them at that place for sure. But basically, you know, kind of getting influenced by like friends at work and stuff.
Got you.
And yeah, kind of on a downward spiral now. But I still believe no matter what, like I'm convinced of God's work in my life and continued work despite my rebellion. And I'll be the first to admit to people like, yeah, I'm a hypocrite, but like I'm not going to be the one to tell to a judge how to judge you on what you're doing. You know?
No stone, Brian.
Yeah.
Hey,
so
he was without sin cast the first stone. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Ain't nobody throwing
that was kind of a summarize.
Yeah, you definitely were shorter than me and Jeff.
All right, so what's like Devontae was saying, what's one thing that you feel like I'm glad that this happened? And then what's one thing that you're like, I probably could have done without this?
Honestly, I've had some moments where like, yo, I should like Like, that was the most dumbest thing I've ever done. I did the one thing that I said I'd never do.
I got scared for a second. I was like, oh, he about to say something.
No.
I got nervous.
Like, I'm happy where I'm at, though. Like, you know. Wait, what'd you think I was going to say?
I don't know, bro, but you was like, yeah.
Wait, you still haven't said it.
Yeah, I saw his face, and I was like, oh, he about to throw something wild out there. He about to hit us with a curveball.
No, like, I don't know if I want to share, like, what, but, like,
you don't necessarily have to get in detail or, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I bring it up to say that despite all the stuff that I'm super, like, look frowned upon, like, I'm happy, like, where I'm at, like, and where I'm going. Like, I don't know, everything happens for a reason, I believe. So, you know what I mean? Like I'm still here, I'm breathing, you know, and I'm still blessed. So I don't know if I can, like, say I could do with it all, honestly, despite all the bad and even all the close friendships I've lost. Like, I don't really have any regrets on it, even though it hurt at the time. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm happy with everything. I don't know.
That's fair.
Word.
If that's your experience and that's how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for sharing your stories. Obviously, there's so much more detail. Like, even as both of you were sharing, I'm thinking about, like,
yeah.
And even when I was sharing, I was like, should I go into that story? Should I go? Like,
yeah. As y'all was talking, I was like, dang, I didn't even mention this. I could have talked about this.
Yeah.
But it's all good. I mean, I think that's the point of this, though, is that through each episode, we will hit on details that involve all of our story. We will go back and tell stuff about what happened in middle school and high school, in church, all that stuff. So,
that's where my mind was all over the place when you guys were sharing your testimonies. I was like, wow, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I was kind of like relating and kind of like wondering about the details of what you guys were saying.
Yeah.
So when it came to mine, I was like, oh, dang, I kind of forgot where I was going to go with it.
It's all good, man. It's all good, brother.
What, maybe, so we are going to end mainly because of time. I did want to go a little longer, but that's all good. We can end here. But I was thinking about maybe, like, was there, I guess, what was and Jeff, we know your answer because you've shared it, but I was going to say, what was someone or something that helped you like, when it comes to your testimony, when it comes to your story, you feel like either like I'm not alone, or like, okay, like I still, like God's still working on me, or something related to that, something that brought you some ease, some comfort, some hope, whether it's recent or whether it was like during the time. And the only, again, Jeff, I like, the only reason I said you already shared yours is the truth.
Yeah, I was say and I mean, I can go into a little bit of detail. Like, the truth is, like what we established, is the CHH rapper, and he's actually the very first Christian hip hop artist that, like, I was introduced to, that I found out. Me and my mom, for those of y'all in San Diego, me and my mom, I can't remember. I think it's off of I think it was off of Sports Arena Boulevard. But me and my mom used to go to Berean Bookstore. It was a Christian bookstore that was standing strong for a while up until like some years ago. But we, every Sunday after church, we would go to Berean Bookstore, and we would you know what I'm saying, she would let me, I think it was like maybe like once a month, or like once every other week or something like that. She kind of just let me pick out a new Christian CD. And so I was always in the, you know, like Zach said, music has been a part of my life, you know what I'm saying, all throughout in different facets. But when I came across The Truth, and his very first album, Moment of Truth, I was, bro, that whole album, even to this day, I'm like, bruh, it hits.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And so when I came across the song, My Story, bruh, I was just listening to it, And I remember I was listening to it and I like was just in awe because I'm like, bro, this whole entire time I used to think that like I used to think that my testimony or my life was boring because like I didn't grow up in the hood. But I'm from the burbs. I'm a suburban kid. My dad, you know what I'm saying, grew up in Chicago, you know what I'm saying, west side Chicago, that like not the best area. But he wasn't, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't involved in gang life either or nothing like that, but he grew up, you know what I'm saying, in that environment. So I got street smarts from him, but I grew up in the suburbs, like military housing most of my life. So I wasn't running from danger. I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, exposed to nothing super crazy at a young age. Like, so when I heard that song, I was just like, this is somebody that I can relate to. And they made it cool. And I think that's probably like kind of what sparked my interest in like, you know, pursuing music later on down the line too, just because I was like, bro, you don't have to be from the hood and do all this crazy stuff to rap. Like he was rapping about being a square. He was rapping about being a church kid growing up, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I really, ever since then, I'm like, bro, the truth is like somebody I really connect with. And when I heard his testimony, I was like, yeah, this resonates heavy.
Yeah. Same here. That song isn't my choice, but Jeff is the one who showed me it. I don't know how I never like paid attention to the song because I've heard that album, but maybe I like loved the other songs way more and I just skipped it. But yes, that song is on point. I encourage people to look up the lyrics to that song. Speaking of lyrics, I have lyrics to the song Misconception by Lecrae featuring Beautiful Eulogy. So Lecrae is a Christian rapper. Beautiful Eulogy is a Christian rap group for those that don't know. Odd Thomas has a verse on there. And his verse is it spoke to me when I first heard the song. Well, actually, when I first heard the song, I was distracted by how hard the song was. It's a super dope song. A lot of elements in there, like yeah, super dope song. Go look up the song. After a few listens, I listened to the lyrics, and so I'm just gonna quickly read them. I'm not gonna rap it, but I'm gonna read it. So Odd Thomas says, "You probably have it all figured out, right? Like the type that believes that if you act right, then that just might make you righteous in God's sight. You've been a really good person. You followed the good book as much as you could. You probably didn't go to church as much as you should, but it's all good. I mean, you never really killed anybody. You never really steal from anybody. You never lusted much or did much touching of anybody's. You never used the Lord's name in vain, and you respect your neighbor. You try to maintain peace, love your enemies, and not hold on to anger. You really believe that you could receive God's favor by your good deeds and right behavior, but you're dead in your transgressions and need a savior. Because you can never win God's approval with the removal of sinful discretions. Your righteous acts of removing God's wrath is in fact the biggest misconception." What these lyrics hit and what I learned through Bible study was this concept of being the good guy is a deep heart issue. And that's the thing with a lot of good people, church kids especially, is a lot of our sin and issues are like internal. They don't really show normally, and some kids do. I'm not trying to blanket it, but even through hearing our testimonies, like none of us were the crazy kid. All of us were actually very well mannered. Probably the kid that other parents want their kid to hang around.
Yeah, literally, bro. I was that kid.
Like parents would tell us.
Same. I would have parents tell me like, "I like my son hanging out with you." Like,
yes.
There's no. If you ever want to hang out, you're always welcome.
You're always welcome. Yeah. Eat anything you want. Take anything you want. Please come back. Like so that builds you up in your pride, and you start thinking. So yeah, I'm gonna cut it short. I don't want to go long, but that for me was one of the first times where I was like, whoa, someone articulated me spot on. And I realized how trash I am. So, and so, yeah, like, and from there, and and we'll later talk about these people, but people like Andy Mineo, people like Propaganda, people like John,
yes,
they also have stories similar to ours. They're definitely unique, but we're able to communicate like I was able to relate with them as far as just speaking for me. I know they also feel the same, but we're not going to nerd out on them for the moment. We're going to save it. Zach, please.
Can I share a quick story real quick that you reminded me? So back in high school, about 2012 prime CHH years, I don't know about y'all, but I was trying to share the music with everybody, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, y'all need to hear these bars, son.
Yeah. Like, this stuff is way better. Anyways, so my mindset is like that all the time. So here I am at youth group. The pastor, said, okay, so-and-so is going to share her testimony. It was like a young girl. She goes up. She's struggling. I'm sorry, I can't do this. Can somebody play some music? I was like, yeah, I got you. I went up to the mixer.
This man Kanye'd her and said, yeah, I'm going to let you finish in a minute.
No, like, she just wanted some music in the background. Yeah. So she wanted some music in the background. I was like, yeah, I got you. Man, I bumped 116 by Triple E. So that thing is just so, like, it just bumps. And then it's like, no, that's too pipe. That's too upbeat. So I froze. I didn't know what to do. I could have just played something more mellow, but I didn't. So he just put on some Spanish Christian song.
That's funny. Did you have anything that, like, as far as like a moment where something really resonated about your testimony, like a song or a person? Well, I guess you said it in your testimony. Actually, you said Lecrae had a big influence on you.
Yeah, Andy Mineo. Andy Mineo had this song with Banja called "Read Me." Like, it was just basically saying, "Want to run away from all my problems, but it won't solve anything because my idols work full time." Yeah, I have a whole bunch of playlists that like shares exactly what I think, faith-wise. Kind of like you got Andy in there, Lecrae, even Banja. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his music. But yeah, I don't know about it. Praying for You was the first CHH song, and that kind of was a big one at the time.
Hey, listen, before we end this too, I want to encourage everybody, if you're going to listen to CHH and you want to get a true sense of like core CHH, listen to Cross Movement. Cross Movement, that is some spiritual bars.
Facts.
That is some real spiritual bars.
Yeah. And also,
I like that.
Encouragement for people like who wrestle with their testimony or just don't know where they're at currently. Like, hopefully this was relatable for you. Just as we sign off, like, encourage you to look up the songs, encourage you to reach out to us.
Where can they say you're at? Where can they follow you at?
You can follow me at Devonte_Roberts. That's DEVONTE_Roberts on Instagram, because I'm not really on social medias like that.
Zach?
You can follow me at ZAK Scott G SCOTTG. So again, ZAK SCOTTG on Instagram, Twitter, and that's about it.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I got two different, I'm gonna plug myself. I have a podcast myself that I do called Melanin Theory, so you can follow me at my podcast page, Melanin_Theory, MELANIN_THEORY. If you want to follow my personal page and kind of just, vibe with the music, because I also create music, you can follow me at The Melanated Rapper. That's THA MELANATED. Listen, it's a hard word to spell.
No, but you need to have it if it's your handle.
Hey,
you need to know this.
Don't question me, bro. Don't say nothing.
You should have a sticker of your handle on your like laptop screen or something.
Damn, right.
Listen,
listen.
We all make
Right,
mistakes. We all make mistakes. All right.
I definitely learned that on this podcast.
That
is the melanated rapper. That's THA period MELANATED period RAPPER.
There we go.
So
mouthful.
Alrighty.
I forget y'all.
All right, y'all. We will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.